What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Jobber channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy Leans Likes Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Kind of a weird day. We had weather pop up everywhere. We now have two doubleheaders on Wednesday. I talked about both of those rain spots, and wouldn't you know it, they both came to fruition. St. Louis, Kansas City, that rain came in. The wind was coming in there too. Thought, hey, you know, throw it out there. Gets voided. We move that to Wednesday's action. Two doubleheaders to start off right out of the gate. My Minnesota Twins in action with the White Sox. That should be a fun one with our two best pitchers on the mound. We'll talk through the ins and outs of that one if there's any value to mine out. And also, be aware, these doubleheaders, you can get pitching matchups that change from time to time. But everything else, it's also in place. 17 games I broke down. Oh, it was a lot of work, but producer Jacob, he ended up being the real soldier in this whole deal. He put out together all the graphics. Give him some love by smashing that like button and also just giving him a virtual hug. Doesn't that feel good? Felt nice. He doesn't care. He wants to get off work. Let's go. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. We're going to talk through these double headers right out the gate. Kansas City, St. Louis. Again, it's not as easy as just saying, Eric, what you projected yesterday, why is it changing? What are we looking at? Well, because they're getting played at different times, and they definitely have an opportunity to change the pitching matchups before we get to the window here. So be aware. There's live action on certain sites like FanDuel, other places where it can change the pitching matchup, but it'll keep live action. So the game one, game two, keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Know the rules of your sports book. That's what I'm going to say. I think I say that a lot recently, but I've said it a lot for years. But Alec Marsh, Andre Palante, we are getting a little bit of a different spot here because, again, Michael Wacha, we expect to be in one of these two. I think he goes up against Sonny Gray in a game that's less achievable, I would say, for both. But with Alec Marsh and Palante here in this one, a different set of circumstances. Also, the ballpark, is it going to be playing the exact same? No, it's not, because we are looking at a morning/afternoon window of games. So this is your first one right out the gate. Pay close attention as well. 10:45 a.m. Pacific time. It is going to be 1:45 p.m. Eastern time, 12:45 local time. So a little bit warmer you're going to get for those conditions for two gas cans. So good for hitting. This total, 8.5. Not going to be something I'm looking to short this time around, that's for sure. So I'm going to just do this. I think the first one is pretty slightly towards the Alec Marsh side, plus 110. Kind of like slightly toward, yeah, there we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Kansas City money line for the game one, but for the game two side of things, it gets a little bit dicier because Sonny Gray going up against Michael Wacha, very, very different set of circumstances. I'm going to just call it St. Louis. I'm going to just give you a like right from the get-go here because I think no matter what, it's going to be inside of minus 180, minus 190, and I think that's going to be good enough to attach it to something else. Again, I don't know if this ends up being the exact pitching matchup, but as soon as this game two line drops, I'm probably going to take a blind stab at it no matter what. Because Sonny Gray, been one of the better pitchers in baseball here. NL, it's decrepit right now. We had Zach Wheeler leave with a back injury. He would have been your favorite for the Cy Young here. Him, Chris Sale now, we're going to make another step up there. I mean, everybody dropping like flies in this NL. But St. Louis money line, I'm going to give you a like simply because I think anything inside of minus 180, I'm going to tap that immediately. Probably could have used better phrasing. Next doubleheader. This one I want to talk a little bit more in depth about, and it's weird because I have two props that I'm going to discuss with you, and it's because, well, the pitchers are more targetable here. We got Bailey Ober, we got Eric Fedde, and I think the park factor is going to be a very different ball of wax, if you will, here with the weather forecast. I've got 15-mile-per-hour wind at noon tomorrow over top of the White Sox right here in this ballpark. Wind blowing around 15 miles per hour. Oh boy, it could be interesting come 2 p.m. It does look like the wind's going to be dipping down to like around 10, 12 come first pitch. But again, I want to take a look in the morning and see what we're looking at. But this is not a ballpark that generally plays up for power. I'm looking at power in it against Eric Fedde and against the next pitcher we'll talk about, Drew Thorpe. But as for Bailey Ober, there's no way that if this ends up being the pitching matchup, that we're going to get any value on the Minnesota side. We've seen this routinely. The White Sox getting crazy steamed by the books. Very hard to invest against them at times, although we'll pick and choose our run line spots. I don't think this is going to be one of them because the fly ball concerns for Bailey Ober still remain. 9.1% barrel percentage, just a 32.9% ground ball percentage. And you're getting a healthier White Sox lineup here as they're going to look to trade some pieces. But Tommy Pham ends up getting scratched. Does he end up in the lineup here on Tuesday? We shall find out. We shall find out. So, Trevor Larnach, come on down. You're the first contestant on what are we doing here? I don't even know. But against righties on the season, 211 expected ISO, 193 plate attempts. Really good stuff. 8 home runs. I expect that number to be, can it get much higher? We're going to see that a lot higher come the season's end because he is very, very good at the hitting of the baseballs. Next one, though, we get Drew Thorpe up against our ace, Pablo Lopez. And I'm going to still call him an ace. I know that things have been brutal in the ERA department, and he gets really, really unlucky. Seems like one of the unluckiest pitchers in baseball. He's the reverse Michael Lorenzen, if you will. The reverse Colin Rea. By the way, he gave up a shot there in that first inning against Brian Reynolds. Brian Reynolds, professional baseball hitter guy. 5.18 ERA here for Pablo Lopez. 3.37 expected ERA. Maybe we get better value here on Lopez than what I'm anticipating, but also I don't understand what's going on with the guy, why he continues to give up bombs here at random times. Oh, it's very, very difficult. But Drew Thorpe, he's a changeup primary guy, and, well, there's one guy who's hitting changeups quite well in his baseball career, Carlos Correa. Well, he hits everything well. How about a 172 expected ISO against righties on this season? Only 6 home runs against, but God, his power threshold is looking really nice here. So Carlos Correa, the Trevor Larnach piece, I want better than plus 380, but that wind could drop it. Again, it's going to be very hard to predict where that opening line is going to be. For this one, Carlos Correa, anything in the plus 400 territory, anything with a 4 in front of it, it's on the card. Whew, darling, we got both the doubleheaders out of the way, 13 games left. But if you want all of the breakdowns for me here, Odd Shopper, we had a weird day today. Multiple weather spots, multiple opportunities to go make some money. I ended up on some interesting props in the evening window. Ooh, baby, I'm going to be very interested to live sweat that here as soon as I get off this show. But $14.95 weekly, $49.95 monthly. You can get my premium betting card every single Monday through Friday. Also been hanging in there on the weekends. Didn't end up having a round robin the last 2 days. Probably will fire one up here on Wednesday. Looking forward to that because, well, there's some more advantageous home run spots, such as the one we just talked about there. Chicago looks like the wind's going to be nice there. It's going to be nice. It's a nice wind. But OS Premium Tools, that comes along for the ride too. We're talking about the best, most accurate tools there in the industry when it comes to Prize Picks, when it comes to Underdog, when it comes to DraftKings Pick 6, when it comes to all of those fantasy sites, in addition to the sports books you know and love, and that's why you're watching this video. And of course, if you use promo code Lindy, 20% off of it. Expert picks, Discord, premium tools, all in one package down at the link below. Again, $12 for your first week. Ooh, that sounds nice. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks we go. Lots to get to. Let the floodgates open. I'm going to start talking very, very fast. Chicago Cubs, shout out to them helping us with the over. You know, it didn't help Baltimore not putting up runs themselves because, well, we packaged them together for a small play. Talk through it. 9-2, they are the losers. You are losers. Jameson Taillon, good Lord. But Shota Imanaga going up against Corbin Burns in this one. Going to be different ballpark yet again in this. Talked about Shota Imanaga, how I thought, well, the wind's blowing out here. You're going to have some righty power. Well, it's really going to be blowing out here at 91 degrees at first pitch. So it's basically just as dicey of a spot as you could get for a guy like Shota Imanaga, who's yet to really play in some really adverse hitting conditions. And when he has, when the wind's been it'd be in front of him. But the hitter's back at Wrigley. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. My brain is operating very slowly. Been staring at spreadsheets for the last 4 hours. But Shota Imanaga, 300 xWOBA. Pretty decent stuff, but a 9.8% barrel percentage. Ooh, boy. Jordan Westburg, come on down. Bit of going yard here on Tuesday as well. Didn't really matter because they sucked. But Anthony Santander, Adley Rutschman, switch hitters. Still like the Baltimore side of this one, and Baltimore on the run line. Corbin Burns is the ace. I think, congratulations for the Cubs for the bats coming alive for once there. Now they can play the switch hitter platoon game with an Ian Happ. You know, they've got lefty power with Michael Busch and some other dudes, Cody Bellinger. Numbers have kind of waned off for Cody Bellinger, but the loft is still there for him. 60-degree wedge. Baltimore on the run line, just a lean for me right now, but this thing gets into the plus 125 territory. Click. Next game. I don't have a ton from this one right now. Tanner Bybee going up against Reese Olson. Want to pay attention to how these bullpens shake out. It is currently, well, it's been an interesting ball game. It's 7-7 bottom of ninth, 2 outs. We'll see if this one goes to extras, but I really want to be paying attention to what you get from the Cleveland bullpen usage. Why is that? Well, Cleveland has one of the best bullpens in baseball. They used Hunt, they used Barlow today. Do they end up using their absolute freaking unstoppable, undeniable, ridiculous? Why am I having a brain fart? Again, my brain is not working today. And also my spreadsheet's being difficult and everything's, our pets' heads are falling off. Our pets' heads are not falling off. That would be really inappropriate. And also I'd have a lot of questions for that person, but it is what it is. Classe, Emmanuel Classe. God, just because he's Classe. He's the first girl to scream on the track. Reese Olson's been better here of late, and obviously the ERA and expected ERA starting to pan out for him. 5.5% barrel percentage, 3.47 expected ERA. Next is 3.22 ERA. We backed him successfully. The other time around. What am I going to be doing this time around, Eric? Tanner Ivy, K-Ladder, potentially up to 8. It is still a spot with Detroit where we want to be targeting them in some capacity. I want to take a look. It's in our book, A Reading Rainbow. But before I do anything on the Cleveland side of things here, because I want to back Bybee potentially, I think we need to see what ends up happening with Emmanuel Classe, what happens with this bullpen, because, well, matters a lot. Stephen Vogt, he knows that. Manager, oh boy, that catcher, he has found himself into a prime position. Could he win Manager of the Year? I think he should right now. Seattle and San Diego playing an afternoon baseball game. Yes, afternoon baseball, evening for all y'all out on the East Coast. As for the West Coast, we have an interesting spot just purely because this ballpark is played up for power all the live long day. And so getting an afternoon game, 3:40 p.m. Eastern time on a Wednesday, it's going to change things a little bit here. But you've got Miller, you got King, and Michael King is somebody that I don't go out of my way to pick on very often. I don't try to go say, hey, Michael King, I really want to bet against you, but afternoon baseball with a 7.5 and light juice towards the over? What are we doing? I gotta be playing this. I have to. Michael King could have a really good outing, and Bryce Miller is giving up tons of power. 459 expected slugging, second in baseball in WRC plus are the San Diego Padres, and everything's lining up for 7.5 here. So I have a very small play, half unit on this one. Just move along with your lives. Michael King, one time, can you give up 2-3 earned? Because he's really good and not somebody that I routinely would be doing this against. The Yankees in Tampa Bay up next. In Tampa, putting out Zach Eflin, Marcus Stroman on the other side. I'm not a Marcus Stroman stan by any means. He's found ways of being effective throughout his entire major league career, but he really doesn't have great strikeout stuff, and that shows out yet again. 17.8% K rate. You add in the 10.6% walk rate and 328 xWOBA, that all accumulates together. And then Jose Trevino. I've been doing this a lot more on these shows, talking you through catchers that potentially there could be stolen base upside with. Now, you got a number of fasties over on the Tampa Bay side. Jose Siri, Johnny DeLuca, Ahmed Rosario even has some speed. Jose Caballero, Josh Lowe, Randy Rosarena, Richie Palacios, a number of guys that could potentially be guys I want to back if they end up having Jose Trevino out there catching. If it ends up being Austin Wells in the platoon, then I get a little bit worried because 82 mile per hour average arm strength throwing second there, 1.95 average pop-up time, whereas Jose Trevino, much more targetable in that regard. As for Tampa Bay, don't want to go out and run on Tampa Bay, so we're not even going to be looking at that market. Honestly, not a market that generally has a lot of value as is. Been trying my best to back test it. Again, I always like to back test stuff. It's like, hey, this is what I would bet. Track it over the course of a month, 2 months. See if it's a market that you're beating routinely before you just dive in betting it immediately, unless you have some hunch that it is something you need to be betting immediately. But that's a conversation for a different day. We're always back testing things here at OddsShopper. In fact, you can see our results on all of our positive EV bets up in the top left corner of OddsShopper. Take a look at the market-based EV results. I always find that to be a fascinating look. But this is not a very fascinating game to be betting for me. Tampa Bay money line. I know I talked about a lot of different prop angles. I'm not going to bet against the Yankees here. I know the Yankees. Everybody wants to bet against them right now. Not me, said me. Dodgers and Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Somebody really liked that yesterday. Shout out the Real ones. The real ones know. A lot of the other ones don't know what I'm talking about and are confused and are wondering what's wrong with Eric. I think I've been asked that a couple of times, but you know what? Nothing wrong with this spot. We've got some rain in the forecast. So stuff is wrong with this one. Rain in the forecast, 84-degree weather, but wind blowing out yet again, 15 miles per hour. We saw it play small for the Philadelphia side before Zach Wheeler gets hurt. And yeah, they put up some major runs on the Dodgers there. I think 10-1 it ended up being. I was watching part of that. Had a feeling that was coming. Glad we didn't go out of our way to try to pick on Zach Wheeler before he got hurt. Hopefully he's okay because, well, baseball is better with good players. But Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, I'm going to be paying attention to them in the prop market. Otherwise, I think these numbers are perfectly efficient. You did get Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber back there on Tuesday. I thought we were just getting Bryce Harper. No. Both came along for the ride right before the All-Star break. Otherwise, you couldn't justify them being in an All-Star game. There's that. But I think we're getting some value. Dodgers plus 102 there. Christopher Sanchez has that huge ground ball rate. Huge ground ball rate. 60.2% is a gigantic ground ball rate. Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, those smash baseballs. And Teoscar Hernandez, 267 expected batting average against. That's on the higher end. Got a break-even number here. A last prop, I believe, until we get to the Texas-LA game. I think that's the only one left. All right, good. So the people who always scream, hey, Eric, have a pick from every game. Well, don't bet something from every single game, but I'm giving you my best guesses at things. And then also letting you know break-even numbers on home runs and where I think we could find some value if we can bet them early in the day, or kind of my perception on the market. As for Kyle Freeland and Frankie Montas, my perception of both is they are dog doo-doo at the throwing of the baseballs. It is ironically their job to throw baseballs. So here we are, Kyle Freeland, 296 expected batting average, 12.9% K rate. That's ridiculousness. As for the other side of this one, Frankie Montas, he is downright atrocious as well. 342 xWOB, a 440 expected slugging. Now's the time I could have put Ryan McMahon on the card, but he ended up with some shorter numbers today. I want to revisit that one tomorrow. So I went with Spencer Steer. He ended up leading off with Jonathan India late scratched on Tuesday. And this is somebody that carries great power and great responsibility. 41.5% hard hit, 337 xWOB, 426 expected slugging with a 17-degree average launch angle, going up against Freeland, who once upon a time had a decent ground ball rate. No longer, 21.7% fly ball rate, 43.4% ground ball percentage. Loft plus hard hit equals homers. That's a pretty basic equation. There's a lot more that goes into it, but let's just pretend there isn't for the moment here. Anything better than plus 360 will be on the card. And again, you could be getting a lineup bump up because more at bats, going from fourth to batting first. It's kind of a big deal here for Spencer Steer in projecting him for one home run. We're going for one. JP Sears and Nick Pivetta in another situation where runs could be aplenty. And boy, we were, we saw the weather in that one. Yeah. We were aware. Runs certainly took place, and now Oakland plus 1.5. Glad we leaned that because I said I overrode a couple of plays from yesterday. Didn't have to override anything here. It just wasn't really projecting out all that great for me. So this kind of is what it is. I still like the over in my brain, but I didn't have it end up projecting out well on the sheet, and we're going to go with the sheet. JP Sears and Nick Pivetta, both of them have barrel concerns, and then, well, Nick Pivetta has strikeout stuff going up against Oakland, who has second or third highest strikeout rate against righties over the course of this season, but didn't end up making the card. A little bit strange to see. Saw how great that weather was there on Tuesday, Wednesday. Not expected to be as good, but a little surprised to not see 9.5 show up here. Like this one, though, Patrick Corbin, Luis Severino, and Severino is not generally going to be a back for me, somebody that I don't run to go try to cash tickets with, but this has everything to do with Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin must pay for his sins. 9.7% barrel percentage, 6.23 expected ERA next to a 5.49 actual ERA. And we're getting some more information. They just added bat tracking today that I have to start doing some more stuff and see what some of these average bat speeds against certain pitchers are. I mean, it's really coming down to like, if you're pretty easy to root, you don't have a lot of velocity, well, you're going to get hit up. And surely enough, Patrick Corbin, once upon a time, was very good. That is not today. 48.6% hard hit. I think you have to be invested in the Mets on the run line in this one. And the Mets, they've been inconsistent for sure. But Luis Severino, 5.8% barrel percentage, 36.6% hard hit. Jose Quintana just carved them up here. Now we're going to the righty side of things. I still like getting to them with that sub 100 WRC plus the Washington Nationals. That is, I think they destroy Corbin here. Might also look at some team totals. Speaking of which, let's talk more team totals here. But first, Mets on the run line. I like it. Next. I'm sneaky. First off, BetMGM first bet safety net up to $1,500. Get bonus bets if your first bet loses. What does it mean, Basil? Well, you head to the link below. You sign up at BetMGM if you haven't signed up yet. And when you do, you deposit $25, $50, $100, whatever you want. And when you bet $25, $50, $100, up to $1,500, if it wins, you keep the money. The money's good. But if it loses, you get it back in bonus bets. Huge opportunity for you. If you haven't signed up at BetMGM, for you. That was Bane. Only if you're 21 and over. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. We have 5 games. Somehow we've gotten to 5 games left. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bells. We talk Brian Hoeing. Not going to be for this game. They've been using him. I mean, he's a reliever turned like opener type. And then they piggyback it into somebody else. I don't know who the piggyback's going to be here in this spot. It very much matters in terms of handicapping. Very, very much matters. But we're seeing him, 3 innings pitched, 46 pitches. I think you could get 3-4 innings out of him, but I doubt we're going to get extended past 55. They're building him up slowly. It's like the self-esteem thing. Just build them up. Tell them they look pretty. Brian Hoeing's numbers aren't that pretty, though. It's like an 8. No, it's not like an 8. It's like a 7. They're pretty enough. It's like, I'm from South Dakota. I'm a South Dakota 7. I don't know. This is an awkward segment. Houston over team total. We're looking at 5.5 potentially being the opening number here. If we're getting plus money on that, I'm going to like it, depending on who we get from the Miami side of things. But Framber Valdez, we're not going to go attack him too much. He does give up the hard hit from time to time. We attacked him a lot at the tail end of last season. Not going to be the case here. The ground ball rate still intact, still looking decent, and Miami is just putrid. That's why you're getting this ridiculous number over on the side of your screen. Pass. My mom trying to call me. Mom, I'm doing my segment. Martin Perez going up against Tobias Myers, and don't know what to tell you other than this game is brutality. I would be looking at the over of 8.5. Martin Perez, one of the worst starters in baseball. Tobias Harris as well. Not somebody that I am running out of my way to try to go back in any way, shape, form, or capacity. I feel like I've said that a lot today, but there's a lot of gas cans that exist on this one. Martin Perez, 300 expected batting average, awful. 500 expected slugging, awful. 17.2% K rate, awful. But he is a southpaw, and for some ungodly reason, not known to you or me or anybody, we are seeing a weird trend here with Milwaukee where they're just way better against righties, even though their league average still 100 WRC plus. Milwaukee, sneaky good. You know what would look great in Milwaukee right now? Corbin Burns. Somebody had to say it. Over 8.5, just a lean for me, not going to bet it. I said I had a home run play that I was looking at, and this is it. Michael Lorenzen, we expect a lot of negative regression for him, but he gets an awesome spot against his former team, the Angels, and then Griffin Canning, wouldn't you know it? Absolute gas can. So we're going to try to attack him in some way, shape, or form. Josh Smith ends up hitting an absolute bomb to start off that baseball game there. So always watching. Nothing like breaking down baseball all day long, finding a couple bets, and then watching baseball all night long. Actually, my job is really awesome. It does not suck. But anyway, Michael Lorenzen, it's hard to attack him because the Angels are terrible. They did DFA Miguel Sano, so congratulations to them on ridding them. Twins had to do it too. It's sad. But Griffin Canning, 343 xWOBA, 459 expected slugging, 8.2% barrel percentage. Shout out Wyatt Langford. This guy has seen massive improvement. He had a very tough beginning of his season and now has since put on the afterburners. He is up to a 42.1% hard hit, 416 expected slugging, and the biggie for me, up to a 17-degree average launch angle. If you're trying to hit home runs in the majors, he's only got 5 of them. I think we end up seeing 6 unless he hits one like in the second, third, but a lot later in the game. It's clean up. He didn't hit a home run this time around, but it's a third inning next to bat. Yeah, there you go. Wyatt Langford to homer. Anything better than plus 400 will be on the card. 2 of them, flat plus 400s that I'm looking at on today's card. Spencer Steer. It'd be nice to get something better than, rehashing all of this goodness. Carlos Correa, like we're gonna get some bombs here again. Round robin, nothing from this one. Atlanta, Arizona, Slade Ciccone is terrible. Charlie Morton is decent enough here. You're going to see this lefty lineup where you get Corbin Carroll at the top. Ends up out of the lineup against a lefty today. I thought that was fascinating. Corbin Carroll been in free falling mode. Atlanta on the run line. They're the road run line. Slade Ciccone's awful, but they've been awful against righties. I don't know what to tell you about this one. Last game of the night, I'm very tired. And we've reached, ironically enough, the last game of the night. And it's probably the bet I have the most confidence in coming into tomorrow. Now, that isn't saying a whole hell of a lot. We've got to see both of the doubleheaders numbers. We have to see both of the doubleheaders pitching potential, like what ends up showing up, the exact pitching matchups. Know the rules of your sportsbook, by the way. I just want to throw that one in there for the people over on social. But as we jump over to San Francisco, Wales. Oh, no, that's San Diego. We got Chris Bassett. We got Logan Webb. Logan Webb, the ground ball rate, always the thing that stands out for me. And Chris Bassett, this is a guy that I think is going to have a little bit easier time. As I was breaking down Yusei Kikuchi and his matchups, well, there were certain guys that stood out, specifically Jorge Soler. Jorge Soler gets scratched today here on Tuesday. Does he show up here on Wednesday? They give him a little bit of an extended break. I do not know. But I'm very curious to find out here because Chris Bassett has given up some righty power from time to time. But a 263 expected batting average is not good. A 325 xWOB is not good. A 21.1% K rate is not good. But this ballpark surely is. And I will repeat, against lefties, he's been worse this season by a considerable margin as opposed to the righties. 1.59 whip. We're talking 50 in the third innings, 7 homers against. And then against righties, the same amount of innings, only 1 homer given up to righties here. So it's not a foregone conclusion, but the projected lineup I threw out here, Conforto, Yastrzemski, Lamont Wade Jr. is back in there as well. Chapman, Bailey, Ramos, Luis Matos playing center fielder is pretty brutal with a bat. Tyler Fitzgerald probably out there. Tyro Estrada back in our lives. Wilmer Flores probably on the bench. But I'm looking at a pretty gettable spot here for Chris Bassett and a very gettable spot here for Logan Webb. He is inducing the ground ball contact there, 57.9% ground ball rate on the season. And then you add in this number, 7.5. 7.5 is actually a pretty advantageous spot here, getting that half run. I would be looking at this at 7 even, potentially as an underplay. So I really like this spot. I really think this is a spot that you can be invested pretty confidently, as long as these numbers stay somewhat the same here. We are getting the under of 7.5 at -115. I am seeing some -125. So -125 at 7.5 probably wouldn't be going that direction, but a 7 at even money even, that would be something I would consider. It's all about range of outcomes, pricing probability. But under 7.5, inside of -120 is a play for me. Fire it up. Let's get her out of here. And that does it for a 17-game Wednesday edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this content. Check out BetMGM. Check out OddsShopper down below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board. Oh, boy, I'm going to get myself the heck up out of here. God, sweat, baby, sweat. Gonna go watch baseball. I'm just gonna sit here and watch baseball. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Thank you, producer Jacob. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Wednesday.